Good afternoon or evening to you all, honorees, family, and guests. Welcome to Phi Beta Kappa Annual Induction Ceremony. As Secretary of the Beta of Missouri chapter of Phi Beta Kappa, I'm delighted to greet you all and to kick off this year's celebration. My name is Dirk Killen. I'm an Associate Dean in the College of Arts and Sciences. And as I said, the Secretary of the Beta chapter. The society itself, Phi Beta Kappa, is dedicated to honoring, quote, excellence in the liberal arts and sciences and championing the freedom of thought. We are gathered this day to do likewise and to welcome into this ancient community a cohort of scholars who represent to the world, quote, the value and benefits of our liberal arts and sciences education, unquote. Since 1776, the year of the first induction ceremony at the College of William and Mary in Virginia, Phi Beta Kappa has promoted excellence across the academic curriculum. Tonight, the Beta of Missouri chapter inscribes a new page in this ongoing narrative. The spring marks the advent of many changes in our lives as the result of the COVID pandemic, but fortunately, the wonders of technology allow us to substitute this virtual gathering in the place of our typical communal gathering on campus for the sole purpose of honoring the senior Phi Beta Kappa inductees of the class of 2020 at Washington University. Please give yourselves a round of applause. You can use that little thing that shows a hand clapping if you want to, if you know how to use it, or just clap wherever. I'm pleased that we are able to mark this milestone in light of our current situation. And I congratulate the inductees on their many achievements. As W.E.B. Du Bois, Phi Beta Kappa at Fisk University once wrote, "The function of the university is, above all, to be the organ of that fine adjustment between real life and the growing knowledge of life, an adjustment which forms the secret of civilization." Hence today's rite of passage. Next, please let me invite the president of the Beta chapter, Vincent Sherry, the Howard Nemeroff Professor in the Humanities and Chair of the Department of English and American Literature, to address the inductees and their guests. Professor Sherry.
Hello to everyone. You'll be able to tell that the script for this ceremony is in some ways quite vintage. There's some ancient diction in here which we are bound to follow. We're going to have to improvise at key points, and I think you'll be able to tell when those points occur. They sound different. So the ceremony now begins according to the script. Fellow members of Phi Beta Kappa, we are assembled for the purpose of receiving into the membership of our society those who, having been duly elected by this chapter, have expressed a desire to be admitted to its privileges and opportunities. The chapter secretary, Dean Dirk Killen, will give us a brief summary of the history of Phi Beta Kappa.
Thank you, Professor Sherry. So here commences the brief history. On December 5th, 1776, Phi Beta Kappa was founded at the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia. It was the first society to have a Greek letter name, and during its early days at William and Mary, it introduced the essential characteristics of such societies: an oath of secrecy, believe it or not, mottos in Latin and Greek, a code of laws, an initiation ceremony, a seal, and even a special handclasp. Regular meetings were held with attention to literary exercises and debate. According to the early minutes of the club, the first members debated with 18th century eloquence such topics as whether a wise state hath any interest nearer at heart than the education of its youth, whether anything is more dangerous to civil liberty in a free state than a standing army in time of peace. Remember, Revolutionary War times, right? Whether theatrical exhibitions are advantageous to the states or the contrary. We will not answer any of those questions today. We will continue on with our meeting. I'm sure you're all glad to know that we won't pause to consider those 18th century topics. But the original society at William and Mary had an active life of only about 4 years, ending with the approach of Cornwallis's army, and as it forced the college to temporarily close its doors. But during this time, charters for new branches were approved, leading to the establishment of chapters at Yale and Harvard in 1780 and 1781, respectively. Affixed to the new charters were seals containing ribbons of pink and blue, colors now preserved in the Phi Beta Kappa honors cords. And by the way, inductees, your honors cords and your Phi Beta Kappa certificates will be sent to you by US mail later this spring to the address you filed with your intent to graduate. So if that address is still accurate, you're all good. If there's a change, you need to let me know or let Grace Palmer know in the College of Arts and Sciences. We want to make sure you get those things sent to you and to the correct address. Now again, the original society at William and Mary was a secret society, and the oath transmitted to the first 6 northern branches contained a promise to, quote, preserve inviolate the secrets of the same. In the 1830s, most of the branches followed the lead of Alpha of Massachusetts and repealed the injunction of secrecy. They retained, however, its metal, a key and its symbolic engraving, and the interpretation of these symbols of the society has continued to constitute a part of the form of initiation. This is the part, if we were actually meeting, that I would wave around a giant placard of the Phi Beta Kappa key that is more than life size, twice the size of my head, if not 3 times. But I don't have that, so I'll ask you to imagine the Phi Beta Kappa key. It's substantially the same as the original medal of the founding chapter. On one side, the key bears the Greek letters Phi Beta Kappa, the initials of the Greek words Philosophia Beoku Bernetes, meaning the love of wisdom is the helmsman of life. In the upper left corner, 3 stars symbolize the aims of the society: friendship, morality, and literature. In the lower corner, a pointing hand symbolizes aspiration. On the reverse side of the key, the letters SP represent the second motto of the society, Societas Philosophiae, or the Society of Philosophers, indeed literally lovers of wisdom. Below them is engraved the date of the founding in December 1776. The Washington University chapter of Phi Beta Kappa is the beta or second chapter in the state of Missouri and was founded in 1914. I now turn the podium, if we had one, over to Professor Leonard, the treasurer of the Beta chapter. Len, you have to unmute for just a moment.
Am I?
Can you mute for just a moment? Yeah, I'm getting the echo feedback. Just one sec. I have to finish introducing you. Professor Leonard Green, treasurer of the Beta chapter, professor of psychological and brain sciences and economics, and director of undergraduate studies in psychological and brain sciences, will now continue.
An address by Chief Justice Charles Evans Hughes at the 100th anniversary celebration of the Alpha of Rhode Island chapter effectively states the ideals of the society. The unique position of Phi Beta Kappa and its usefulness can be safeguarded only by unremitting attention to what has become the law of its being. The prestige of the fraternity is due to the fact that it is an association of men and women of scholarly attainments who have proved their merit according to the accepted standards of college discipline. The best proof of the utility of the fraternity is the esteem in which the election is held. Whatever may be said of the value of various activities proposed by the organization, the essential thing is to hold to the theory of the fraternity as a fellowship of scholars admission to which is an honor conferred by reason of demonstrated worth. The success of Phi Beta Kappa continues to lie in what it is rather than in what it does. The particular interest of Phi Beta Kappa is in liberal education. Whatever debate there may be as to its exact definition or its prerequisites, liberal education persists as an ideal. Intensive critical study of educational aims and methods have nothing to take its place. It means the development by careful training of the capacity to appreciate what has been done and thought, and the ability to make worthwhile appraisals of achievements, doctrines, theories, and proposals. It is liberal because it emancipates. It signifies freedom from the tyranny of ignorance and, from what is worse, the dominion of folly, both of which, I might add, are all too evident these days and with disastrous consequences. Learning is not the aim of the society so much as intelligence served by learning.
So the ritual returns to me here for a little improv moment. In the official script, I would ask you to rise. So that's not, that seems suboptimal here and not even possible. But rising is a gesture whose meaning is not lost, okay? It's affirmed all the more as we continue in this ritual today by other means. In your own way, you are standing up by being here. Okay, you are taking claim for yourself of this moment, and it is a great moment, one that recognizes and celebrates everything you've done to get here today. So please take your rightful pride in being here, in what you are here, and receiving this acknowledgement and taking this pledge, which when we get to it, I'll ask you to affirm on your own in whatever way you can or wish, okay? So back to the script. In accordance with the rules of this chapter, you have been selected as worthy of becoming members of Phi Beta Kappa. Your names have been submitted to the scrutiny of the constitutional electors of the chapter and have met with their approval. You have been formally notified of your election, and by your presence here, you signify your desire to be enrolled as members in this ancient and honorable fraternity. By the rules of this chapter, each initiate must personally pledge her or his allegiance to the ideals of this society and sign the chapter roll book. I am instructed to administer the following promise, to which you may respond by saying or indicating somehow, I do. Do you solemnly promise that you will be true and faithful to this society and strive always to maintain paramount regard for both moral character and scholarly attainment? So maybe just a nod of the head for the sake of our ritual. That looks good. I'm getting a lot of affirmation out there. And some electronic thumbs up for that pledge. 1776 meets 2020. So thank you. The chapter secretary will now call the roll of the newly elected members.
Thank you, Vince. You should be seeing on your screen now the document that is put together by our coordinator. This is a very close replica of the scroll book that we ask all Phi Beta Kappa inductees to sign each year in the spring as they are inducted into the society, the Beta chapter here at WashU. And so you will notice that your names being filled in on the lines there. And since you have confirmed your acceptance of induction in response to Professor Sherry, I will allow you to, I will have all your names called out one by one. You can stand if you wish, wherever you may find yourself, but you need not This ceremony will take the place of what we ordinarily do in a physical presence on campus. All right then. If you wish to applaud also, by the way, you can use your little hand clapping icon. All right. List of the 2020 inductees to Phi Beta Kappa, Washington University, Beta Chapter of Missouri. Pranjal Agarwal. Matthew Auda. Apurva Bechwal. Daniel Barbakoff. Courtney Benyon. Rachel Best. Rachel Bruff. Kayla Botafuco. Ya Tsai. Leah Carson. Christy Chang. Brenda Chen. Byung-Hoon Cheon. Ava Ciriello. Abigail Coco. Laura Cornell. Nicole Kernot. Molly Davis. Kaylin Davison. Royce Dong. Yixuan Dong. Christopher Eichhorn. Muhammad Ali Alehi. Haley Emerson. Carolyn Flessiker. Peyton Fours. Yu Hung Fu. Henry Greenstein. Excuse me, I think I missed Thomas Gardner. Thomas Gardner. It's not on my list, but I'm sure you are on the Phi Beta Kappa list. Elizabeth Grossman. Niket Gupta. Lily Hahn. William Hallmark. Samuel Heil. Noah Hellenbach. Andy Herrig. Looks like Natalie Hench is also not on my list, but Natalie Hench, you are on the list. Andrea Herrig. Scott Hirschberger. Jai Hu. Elizabeth Huang. Neil Calais. Curtis Kendall.
Yeah, boy.
Josh Kim. Maureen Claycamp. Thanvi Kohli. Daniela Kraus. Ruby Ladd. Megan Lafferty. Jae Hee Lee. Oscar Levine. Jacob Linker. Alice Liu. Taylor Lord. Scott Liu. Jennifer McLish. Harsh Mulani.
Woohoo! Go Hirsch!
Olivia Murray. Samil Nair. Sveta Nakshotri. Tess Nian Alto. Opaka O'Connor. Andrew O. Sami Pathak. Monica Prindiville. Connor Riker. Jessica Rich. Isabel Risch. Yu Rong. David Rosenstein. Gabriella Ruske Kidd. Sienna Ruiz. Gabrielle Samuel. Maya Samuels Fair. Yumino Sasaki. Peter Satterthwaite. Anna Schoenfeld. Alexander Severino. Rebecca Shavitz. Ishan Shaw. Daviona Sims. Sarah Slayton. Jamil Span.
Woo!
Joseph Spellberg. Kayla Steinberg.
Woo!
Matthew Steinhaus. Mary Stevens. Lydia Straka. Maurice Sue. Michelle Tong. Ingzhen Tian. Monica Unzueta. Manasvi Verma. Mark Wong. Anna White. Henry Weinberg. Shi Wu. Jingyan Xu. Li Xuan Xu. Madeline Yagi. Yuzhen Yang. And Jessica Zhu. And that's the list of this year's class of 2020 Phi Beta Kappa inductees. Congratulations to you all.
So by election of this chapter, by your affirmations of its objectives, and I've heard those little cries of assent, sometimes faint, sometimes strong, and by signing at this moment onto our roll, you have fulfilled the society's requirements for initiation. Therefore, in the presence of these members of the fraternity, I declare you members of the Beta chapter of Phi Beta Kappa in the state of Missouri, authorized to wear its badge and to participate in its meetings. It is my privilege to welcome you as full members of Phi Beta Kappa, and I've been challenged here to say, President leads applause. All right, so. Back to the secretary.
Thank you, Vince. So we have finished most of the formal part of our ceremony. Just one more part to get through here. So thank you all for being with us this afternoon. I want to let you all know that the Beta of Missouri chapter is in the midst of ongoing efforts to build its presence and visibility in the campus community. We will continue to advocate for passionate exploration of the humanities, social sciences, and natural sciences. To begin with, this fall, we are planning to host once again a Phi Beta Kappa lecture, as we have in years past. The tradition lapsed in recent years, but we hope to reinstate this tradition. And each of you will receive an invitation to attend, whether virtually or in person, as the situation of the public health will dictate. Also, please tell your friends about us, especially first and second year students you may know. We have an active and growing community on LinkedIn, to which you will all receive invitations, and we'll be sending you opportunities to support our chapter financially as you may be able in the coming years. Please stay in touch with us. Beta chapter will continue to provide a contact point for each of you in the future as we seek to support you, the networked community of accomplished scholars that is the essence of Phi Beta Kappa. In perhaps the best known of all Phi Beta Kappa addresses given at Harvard in 1837, the poet and essayist Ralph Waldo Emerson lamented that Americans in his day all seemed, quote, too busy to give their attention to liberal arts and letters. He nonetheless exhorted the Phi Beta Kappa inductees of 1837 to study nature assiduously, to continue to be inspired by books, and to be leaders in their communities by living a life of well-informed action. My hope today is that each one of you will become the kind of leader and the kind of citizen that Emerson so fervently wished for. His words that day eventually reached the ears and helped shape the minds of two young New Yorkers who never had the benefit of going to college. Walt Whitman and Herman Melville, who in their unique ways helped to bring into being an era of literary achievement that came to be known in time as the American Renaissance. In this academic year, many have celebrated the bicentennial of the births of these two writers whose searching and sometimes searing investigations of American democracy in their time continue to resonate centuries later. It would not be too much to say that the spark of inspiration that came from Emerson's Phi Beta Kappa address on the American Scholar reminded those college seniors of 1837 that Americans had listened too long to the courtly muses of Europe, and he urged and exhorted them to develop a literary culture that was uniquely their own, not just an echo of the great European writers who had come before them, helping thereby to usher in the American Renaissance. And so each generation must do the work required, no matter how busy they may become, to advance the arts and sciences in their own time and place. This has been and still is the work of the Phi Beta Kappa Society. So I urge you to go forth and contribute each in your own way to the advancement of the liberal arts and learning in the communities which you will someday lead. Like the generations of Phi Beta Kappa scholars of the past, you will help reshape our future. I ask you now to please give yourselves and one another a final round of applause.
Yeah.
That concludes our ceremony. The president of Phi Beta Kappa, Professor Sherry, will close today's meeting and wish you all best of luck in the future.